And Kepha took him aside and began to rebuke him. This is the kind of stuff I just want us all to realize. Do you realize what he's doing? And do you do the same kind of thing where an authority figure that you're supposed to trust, whether you understand what they're doing or not, you don't rebuke. He's rebuking Messiah. In other words, he's saying to Messiah, no. Whatever you just said, no. Really? It's like your 6-year-old correcting you as a parent. You're like, what makes you think you know what you're talking about to correct me? Maybe more like a 3-year-old. We're going to correct Messiah? Your thoughts are not those of Elohim. So you're allowing yourself to not listen to Yeshua, who's telling you what's happening from Elohim. You've got your own thoughts. And since my words, this is Yeshua, I'm speaking for him, because my words don't match your thoughts, you're having an issue. Some of you have a hard time with that with any kind of authority. You have a hard time submitting if those thoughts don't match yours, because you want to filter everything, as Peter does, through you. He's filtering only through himself, isn't he? And when you do, if you're filtering only through you, meaning you're not lining up with the authority, you're acting as a Satan. An adversarial thing will pop up. We're going to see this with Judas in a little bit too, okay? As part of this whole discussion. But I want us to understand, an outside thing did not come in. Inside is being revealed. To understand that if there's something in your life, if you have a problem with your health and diet, you are not going to be pleased cutting a bunch of stuff you love out of your diet. But it's necessary, and it will get you to where you want to go, but you're not going to like it. I'm working on mine, and there's a bunch of stuff that I love that I'm not eating right now. And so I guess that could be considered suffering. It's all about of your mindset, how you handle it, right? You could choose not to suffer, but I can imagine people suffering. Oh, I don't get to eat my pizza and my chocolate and blah, blah, blah. So we whine and cry, but how are you going to fix the problem without suffering? Okay, some of you to fix the problem have to go and retool so you can make more money. That's not going to be fun, especially if you're 50 or whatever, and you're not 20 and you have to go restart over again at 40. So you got to suffer and pay a price. Isn't everything in Scripture about paying a price? But are you willing to pay the price? Flesh is just flesh without the blood, because we know the life is in the blood. If we're using this in the picture, he's trying to paint a picture. He's not being literal. He's not saying literally be a cannibal, eat my flesh, drink my blood. Sorry, Catholics, I don't know what came up with this whole communion thing, but that is not scriptural. But what about the Last Supper? They were doing a ritual that goes all the way back to Melchizedek and Abram and before that. He just said when you do these things, they're symbolically pointing at, reminding you what I'm talking about here in John 6. But I want us to see that beautiful picture about, he says, you want to have everlasting life. If you eat my flesh and drink my blood, you possess everlasting life. These are, in other words, you have the things, possess meaning you own and have, what brings everlasting life. Do my actions, driven by my thoughts, my beliefs, my approach. Do you like that? I found it cool today when I got that, all right? Because I know that's the section that really trips people up. It tripped them up. They stopped walking with him. So he's saying is, yeah, I taught you all this. Yes, you recognize all these things, but still, yet under all of that, somebody's still not getting it. There's at least one of you that's having enough of a problem that you're going to be a problem. Is going to deliver me up. Now, of course, don't get mad at Judas. It had to happen. You know, there's still Christians out there that call the Jews Christ killers. I don't remember them doing anything to him. Yeah, they stood against him and everything. Rome decided to kill him. But it seems to me that we read in chapter 16 of Matthew that he said this had to happen. It was part of the plan. So why are we mad at whoever had their role in it? It had to happen. If it doesn't happen, what do you end up with? If he doesn't die and get resurrected and do all the things, where does that leave you? Judas is there as they're recognizing the flesh, blood-eating, drinking thing going on, and you are the Messiah, and all of these other things. He was there when we the conversation with Peter, who do people think I am, etc. He was there for all of this stuff. So the logical conclusion is, yet he wasn't being Messiah the way Judas thought he should be. And so then he's like, well, then you know what? You're not Messiah. We're going to turn you in, and I'll wait for the one that's going to do it the way I want. Some people get frustrated with God that way. God didn't heal somebody. God didn't intervene in some way, and so then he must not be God because he didn't do what you wanted, the way you wanted, in the form you wanted. Disappointment is the killer. Disappointment is the killer right there. But the problem is in the perspective of the person, not God. He's not the problem. Your perspective, how you're perceiving what's happening. Judas was not perceiving this right. And that's why all of you guys, majority, are weak like crazy. And everything makes you cry, and everything's too hard, and everything hurts your feelings, and you guys all need safe spaces. You know when I needed a safe space? When Dad was chasing me with the belt. That's when you need a safe space. Not when somebody's hurting your feelings with words. I was looking for a safe space. Right? You think that's bad? Now my family didn't do this, but a lot of you grew up with a switch. They made you get your own switch. Could you imagine? What's a switch? It's a stick that they're gonna smack you with. And it wasn't just that they had one, they made you go get one. And you had better get a good one. Not good for you. One that like you hold it and it says, okay, like a wet noodle. Oh no, you better bring something that's got some snap to it. A little sting to it. And he said to him, Yeshua says, you don't know. You don't understand what I'm doing now. Okay, this is the important piece of it, because that's a message to Judas. You don't understand what I'm doing now. This is a message to Judas. It's a message to the 11. It's a message to us, right? The other 11 and us. He says, there's gonna be moments where you don't understand what I'm doing now. Not just what I'm doing in general, what I'm doing now. They didn't understand everything about the resurrection either, because they weren't there waiting for him on the third day. If they had understood it, why are they not all standing there waiting for it? One has to show up first and realize that he's not there to go tell everybody else. Even the priests believed it more than the disciples, because they said, go put guards there to make sure nothing happens, because they thought somebody might steal the body to make this thing look like it or whatever, right? So they kind of believed it more than even the disciples did. Then if I, your master and teacher, have washed your feet, in other words, took on the role of the lowest servant, you also ought to wash one another's feet. Unlike some churches out there, I do not believe this is a new Torah commandment, that you need to wash each other's feet. People do that at Passover, which is funny because this was not the Passover meal. So why they link it to Passover, I don't know. But he was making an important point with a group of people that were having certain issues, and one particular that could have influenced the others, that he wanted to make a point. If I, above all of you, can lower myself to the lowest servant level and serve you, then you ought to serve each other the same way. Be willing to serve and come down to get your pride, ego, and other things out of the way. It was pride and ego for Peter. Oh no, you're not washing my feet. If you know these teachings, these instructions, blessed are you if you do them. Everything from Genesis to Revelation is blessing if you do. Even the don'ts is doing, right? Not doing something is still something you did. You made the effort not to do something, right? You're told, don't work on Shabbat. Okay, so you don't work on Shabbat. That's still a doing. So blessed are you in doing. Understanding it's only part of it. If you're not doing it, then basically you're a flesh without the blood, right? Eat my flesh, but you're not eating his blood. Because you're just doing whatever you're doing, but you're not doing what matches up with the blood. Because if you're working on Shabbat, you're doing, but it doesn't match up with life, his words of life, the Torah, his instructions.